And we're live. I think they added this voice message. This is a new thing in Zoom because usually they just have this pop up. So,
Yeah,
yeah, but it's nice. Okay, guys, so how is everything in SEO on your side?
it's interesting. So I just recently started my website and I'm like trying my hand in consulting, and I'm usually writing on AEO plus SEO layer and how it is impacting MQLs, how it is impacting the pipeline. So the more you dig, the more you study the website, the interesting facts you find. And it's not just the B2B that is going through a lot of changes, but even in B2C, you can see how things are changing. It like if you focus on one perspective, it's fine, and you know how to utilize this all these new things, it makes things very easy. When I say very easy, it makes it less time consuming. But if you miss even a single point, you are going to devastate the website. So that new perspective I'm really liking about SEO slash AEO slash GEO.
Yeah, that's interesting. Nice. I think one of the things I been thinking about lately is why people are not optimizing for Google Discover, right? Because if you look at any publisher that is getting traffic from Google Discover, they may be getting way more from there than from search. Can you imagine? Like way more. Some publishers are getting 75% of
Mm-hmm.
all of their organic clicks from Google Discover and not from traditional search. Can you imagine? So I really think because we're losing traffic in traditional search, we need to figure out how to optimize for Discover, right?
Yeah.
Of course, there's a lot of differences there. It's not keyword based, it's interest based.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's a good thing because if you understand your audience very well and understand their interests, then you can create content that matches their interests. Um, Content for Discover may not perform well in traditional search, right? It's different. So we may have to have a fundamental change in the way we think about content. Sorry, guys. I have
Yeah,
allergy
like when
and
we
go ahead.
uh yeah, like when we have to focus on Google Discover, it has to be more personalized in a terms like when somebody is looking for those kind of information or they're digging in that topic, they should find your content.
And also another thing is that even if let's say someone is really stuck or insists on I mean I'm not against the 10 blue links. We should optimize for them, but if someone wants to focus all their attention there only, the way we create content there also should change because now we're not talking about like users type keywords. That's true, but whatever piece of information they're trying to find, it's part of a bigger task they're trying to do, right?
Yeah.
So, um, like let's say, for example, someone is trying to buy something, right? They're trying to buy something, yes, but why do they want to buy this thing? There's a bigger task they're trying to do, right? So if someone is buying a beach towel, for example, that's because they're planning some trip to the beach, right? Sorry,
Bless you.
thank you. So they're planning some trip to the beach, right? So it's not no longer this specific thing. Yes, you want to help them or you want to sell your beach towels, but you need to understand the mindset of the person searching for this. They're trying to for one of the things like if you talk to your customers, you understand, are they gifting beach towels? I don't know. Are they planning a trip? Is it impulse shopping? Like you need to understand what is the bigger task they're trying to achieve, and then you create content for that bigger task, right?
Yeah. So, or
So
maybe in other words, we can say like when we are focusing on buyer journey, we understand what could be the points that a user can go through, and we can have a cluster of a content that should meet
Yes.
their requirement. It could be maybe they are buying it for a personal use, maybe they are just buying it for a wholesale, maybe they are just buying it for their gifting purpose. So you have to think about all the perspective that a user can come up to your website, and then you should have a content that matches their requirement.
Yeah, and since we're talking about content, we need to audit the existing content we have on our website.
Mhm.
And what I've seen, most people audit that by seeing what's performing, what's not, and then, okay, if something is not performing, let's update this. And I'm actually trying to work on a module for my course for this at some point once I have some time, but I'm just having so much things. I also am studying, so it's just a mess right now. But anyways, so a content audit should also categorize the type of content. So let's say you make a list, or you pull all the blog or all the pages on your website, and then you start to categorize what is the type of page this is. Is it a product page? Is
Mhm.
it a blog? And if it's a blog, what type of a blog? Is it a how to? Is it a comparison? Is it like, try to categorize your
Yeah.
content. And then you may also want to cluster it by topic as well, right? Like, let's say, let's go back to the beach towel. Let's say you're selling beach stuff, not just beach towels. So you may have content around, I don't know, buying the how to buy the best beach towel. I'm just being random, like it doesn't make sense, but just for the sake of an example, how to buy the best beach towel. And then the second, so things cluster around beach towels, and then cluster about swimsuits, for example, cluster about goggles, whatever, right? Cluster about sunscreen, right? Like you can have a whole, like whatever your products are. So you have a lot of clusters, and you also want to categorize your content by cluster. And then from there, you can start you also pull the performance data from Search Console and Google Analytics. And then you can start saying, okay, this type of content or this cluster is performing and this is not. And then and this is getting us more conversions and this is not. So once you have this data, like you segment your content and understand what is happening, you can double down on what's working. You can try to fix what's not. And you're not being random by like pulling a list and just going by the number. Like what happens is we pull a list and then say, okay, these are the top 10 non-performing blogs, whatever their topic is, right? Or whatever their type is. They can be a how-to guide and a product page and a comparison. Like it can be different things, and they can also be for different clusters. And we're just being a bit random here. So there's I so I once one time not recently, one time I had to so recently I had to pivot this a bit, but one time a few years ago I had to come up with a solid content strategy, and I used this approach and it worked very well. And it's just segmenting the right different ways of segmenting content and analyzing those segments, right? Then you get an understanding of what's working, what type of content. So for example, one time I did this content audit, and for one of the websites I worked on, it was a SaaS, and the top performing content was comparisons, examples. So example of this, example of that. Like some people were using for specific examples, and they wanted like a blog about explaining this example. So when the search was for an example, like keyword example, uh, people chose their content. So that's an opportunity. Okay, guys, people love our content, uh, that type of content. So let's double down on that, right? So it helps you figure out what type of thing you're doing right and what not, right? Um, you can, I'm sorry that I kept talking a lot. I'm sorry.
No, I was just like I follow the same strategy. Like when I have to do the content gap analysis, I just bucket them in the clusters and then based on the user journey. Like for example, just let's take your example of like beach towel. Even if we are focused on the beach towel, we will have a beach towel for kids, beach towel for women, beach towel for men. And based on that, like you will even have a cluster on like what kind of color people will prefer when they are on the beach. And with that, if they are on the beach, they will need other items like you said, might need flip flop, they might need sunscreen, they might need umbrellas. So when you understand like the whole journey and you understand what they're more interested in buying or what is performing well, first your focus should be to ensure that that cluster is completely ingrained in the website and it has all the topics that can support it completely, not in just terms of SEO, but in terms of user journey. And then you should focus on the potential capacity that could help the buyer in finding the right product on your website and enhance that cluster as well.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Um,
I will like to add one of my experience as well. Like I was working on an AI website, like where we used to share everything about AI, and we did the same approach, like categorizing our topics, like categorizing into how to, then comparison guides, then case studies, then review blogs, and so on. And it gave us the results because it helped us focus better on why the user is coming, and like the same that when we track the data on GSC, Google Search Console, so what was working, we double down on that. Like for example, if we are writing a review on, let's say, ChatGPT, and then writing a blog on how to use ChatGPT, then comparing ChatGPT with cloud, and then it also helps us in getting cited by LLMs because obviously, the LLMs were getting the recognition that we are we are expert in this topic. So yeah.
nice. I think we're like we have a close mindset. Like we're basically saying similar things, right?
I think we all focus on content strategies.
Yeah. Um, okay, one of the things, is there anything you want to discuss in this before we like, hey Ernie, before we start a different, am I saying your name correctly? Yes, I think. Before we move on to another point. So Ernie, we were talking about um, content strategy, how to do a content audit, how to segment your content, how to, and use this, the inspiration or use the data you get there to inspire your next steps. Okay. Apparently I talked too much. They left. Anyways, I'm joking. I'm joking, I swear. Um, what is everyone's thoughts on? Okay, can I move to another point, or are we still talking about this?
I think we can move on the point. What do Aisha?
Yeah, you can move.
Okay, what is everyone's thought about the search perform AI performance report Google is trying to roll out? Uh, where is it? Okay, no, let's go back.
You guys
Uh,
have access to that report? I can't see it in my search console yet.
I didn't get access yet. Here it is. This one. I didn't get it yet. Did you get it?
Nope.
No.
Right? It's still Canada is
Still
always
in UK, yeah. It's still like it. They have just launched it in UK still.
yeah. Uh, I mean, I there's no clicks. Why?
Yeah.
I'm
But
not
like
sure
this
what.
is more like if like last year when I was working with the company, what I was focusing on, like your impression was improving like anything and clicks were dropping. So we assume that yeah, this is what Google is doing. They are just counting your AI overview as an impression. So they just tagged it as in like generative AI now. This is what I am believing, but unless I have like my hands-on experience, I am not be 100% sure.
I'm sorry, I was sneezing. Can you say this again?
I was like last year when I was working with the company, we noticed like there was a huge jump in impressions and the clicks were not improving like that. So like we start assuming like Google is treating AI overview answers as an impression, but they are not attributing clicks to that. So now it seems like they just put it in another segment like generative AI
Yeah.
and they're showing it. But unless we have it like hands-on experience, I cannot be 100% sure. Like, is it like the same reporting, they just named it different or what?
Interesting.
I just want to see when we check the generative AI, how it shows queries. Like, is it showing something else or it just shows the number?
Well, they're
Like
not
in
giving us
it
much.
just shows yeah, page and countries. There's nothing like a query. Unless I have a query or like I understand how people are looking for me in the AI overview answers or what they're expecting, where I should expect I have to be in the result. And I don't get that data. It's just a number. And I still have to figure out a lot.
The problem also for me is, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to. I don't know what's wrong, but my allergy is really a lot this morning. Anyways, um, like what's really a concern here, or is that they think they gave us the data and move on to something else. Like, no, you didn't. Like, like my concern is like next time we talk to Google people and we're like, when are you gonna give us the data? And they would say, hey, we have something for you there. So that's one. And second thing is impressions. I believed in impressions more than anyone. I used to like impressions as a metric and I used to report on it. And but then all of a sudden they tell you in retrospective that whatever you were reporting, impressions have been inflated for an entire year.
Yes.
So for an entire year, you're reporting, "Hey guys, we're getting more visibility in search," and it's if it's inflated, it's also messing with your other matrix. So if you have an inflated number of impressions, your CTR is probably messed up as well. So it's just a whole mess in Google Search Console, and in this matrix, I don't trust it anymore. I just
I will like one thing here. Like in my previous company, we did the same. Like when we started reporting too much on impression, we had to change our mindset because that was also impacting our CTR because we were getting the impressions but not the clicks. So obviously that was hurting the website as well. Like they used to say that it's hurting the website SEO because you're not getting the clicks on your website.
yeah,
Yeah, and it was so
yeah,
hard to explain all these things to your CMOs, like what is happening, and it was a big pain.
it's very
Because
annoying.
like KPI became that we had to get the clicks, not focusing on, and we actually optimize our content again to decrease the impressions. Not using too much broad queries, not using too many broad keywords to decrease the impression, and so that we can get the impression only on the relevant queries and then get clicks from there.
Google is living in an alternative reality, in a different planet, thinking this is what we want. I'm good. I'm okay.
I think
I'm
you
really
need
sorry.
keratin.
1 second. I think. Okay. I'm okay. So sorry. Anyways, Google is delusional. So, and not only Google is delusional, there are people in this industry that are delusional. They're living in a different planet, having their own narratives, and thinking it applies to the real world. They think whatever is going on in their head is impacting real life or is is reality, and there's so much difference. Yeah, a lot of garbage. Let's move on. Okay. Let me share this. And this is something I wanted to read actually, so I'm happy that I have a moment here. Um, Google Discover feed with more Google News showcase results. So Google seems to be showing content from publishers in the Google News showcase more within the Google Discover feed. Yeah, I mean,
This is interesting.
yeah, but I mean, Google Discover had always had news in there, so I'm not sure what is the reporting about. I don't understand. Is it a surprise for you guys or something new to feel that Google News, like things appearing in Google News, which are news in general, appear in Google Discover as well?
Maybe they will elaborate it later, like what kind of news they mean. Is it like how they categorize it? Like what kind of website? Maybe it could be some journal thing or just a news. We still have to figure it out.
This tag is new, Google News Showcase, and I think it's so basically Google is trying to funnel traffic from Discover to its Google News surface internally. They don't want to leave a click away. This is probably what this is about. Alternative reality where they think that publishers are going to continue to accept this. Well, I don't think so. Um, okay. Okay, let's switch. So, guys, I'm switching. So, just to keep the conversation going. But if you like want to go back to the previous point or you want to discuss something, just stop me. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. I don't mean like to interrupt or cut any of you off or something. I just don't want us to have like those pauses that we're just waiting on each other. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm not sure how comfortable you are with technical SEO, but this is something I found interesting. So Google updated its help documents when you're doing a migration from a domain to a domain. So there are different types of migrations, right? Like you can migrate from a domain to a domain or change the CMS. Let's say you are on WordPress and you want to convert to Shopify or yeah, something like that. Or a redesign can also feel like a migration because you're changing the UX, but I mean, there are different types, but the specific type is if you're just changing your domain name. So example.com to abc.com. This is usually the simplest type. Usually it's very straightforward and all you need to do is just, or the main thing you need to do is submit in Search Console that you're changing. Obviously verify the other domain and like make sure everything is fine and then submit um, using the change of address tool. But what they're saying here is, that's really a good detail, is you don't submit once, you submit multiple times, you submit the different versions of your website. So you submit with www and non www, and so on, right? Like stuff like that. Uh, so both variants, right? So and if you have a subdomain, of course, Google treats subdomains like they're separate domains. So you need to ensure all of these are verified and then you submit them in the tool. Um, yeah, so any thoughts, comments? I guess there's not much here, but I really like this small detail and I thought to give it a minute in our meeting.
Yeah. I'm not too I haven't worked too much on domain migration, so I'm really not 100% sure how to take this news, but I might read more about it. It's an interesting thing to explore.
Yeah.
Although I have worked with the website that have recently migrated, so like, I was saved from all this work.
Nice. Um, I actually one time was hired after they did the migration and they hired me to fix part of why they hired me for was to fix the migration. And it was a horrible migration. And the problem is not just that it's horrible, like you're trying to fix it, but what's more horrible is their casual approach. Like there's no urgency, like this needs to be done fast. Like the more time you are taking to fix things, I cannot guarantee that they're gonna go back to what they were before the migration. Like if you take way longer to fix things, you can just lose your rankings forever, right? It depends, right? So yeah, that's interesting.
That's true.
Okay.
So does migration impact your ranking immediately, or what happens?
Yeah, that's a good question. So after migration, usually there is a dip in your rankings, right? Like you'll see a decline, and then within 2 weeks, you should start seeing either recovery or you're starting to recover depending on the size of the website. So the bigger the website, the more time it's going to take it. Um, but you should start, things should start looking right, gradually. And it also relies on, from what I've seen, if you've done a migration and it's broken and you lost 50% of your traffic and it took you 2 months, for example, to start fixing things, you'll gradually get where you were in maybe a month or two, supposedly, unless something else is missing. Or I love migrations, by the way. You
So
know
when you
what?
do, Mhm.
Go ahead. You have a question.
I was just asking, like, when you migrate to a website, like, from a website. So, while the shift is happening, like, you are the time that, like, let's suppose it's taking 2 months to regain those rankings. So, meantime, do you also optimize the content, or you keep the content same just to see the shift is happening due to migration, or the shift is happening due to content optimization?
Um, okay, that's a good question. You can, I mean, if you're creating new content and you see it performing, you'll know this is the new things and they're performing, they're not. It's not a recovery.
Mhm.
If you're updating old content, it's gonna be a bit complex, but here's what I did. So before a migration, or once you get to be once you're assigned to manage or resolve a migration, the first thing you need to do is understand your baseline. What is normal performance for you, right? Like what is a normal month for you look like on average, right? Obviously there's high and lows, but on average, what is a number? If you say, hey, we got this number of clicks this month, it looks normal. It does not look like you did great or you did not do great. So once you have this establishment, you can then start to see, am I growing above this normal or not, right? If you're optimizing specific pages, you can monitor those independent of the rest of the website and then see what's happening there as well, right? It's there's always a lot of details and a lot of nuances, and I mean, you can optimize things and they can also take time to reflect in performance as well. Like it's a lot of moving parts, but um, here's the thing, and I think let me think for a second. I don't think a lot of people do this before migration. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. That's usually not. Sometimes you need to fix things before the migration, like you can do technical audit before the migration, because there are things that are just going to annoy you and cause issues during a migration that you should just resolve them before you start your migration. If your website doesn't have proper canonicals, for example, or you have pages that you don't want to migrate, or like you need to have a look at the website and resolve issues before the migration, because these are just gonna amplify and cause trouble and extend your recovery time. Because what happens is when you do a migration, Google sees a lot of redirects, right? And you see a dip in traffic because how I see it, okay, is that there's a time period Google wants to see if this website is stable, what's happening there. So you want minimal errors. The more errors and more issues you have, this is just gonna mess your migration. So this is one thing. The second thing is what I was just saying, the benchmark, having an understanding of what's normal. And even I sometimes forecast, okay, this is our normal, and we lost 50% because I came in halfway the migration, or after the migration was done, and they wanted me to reverse engineer it and project how long this is going to take. So Okay, so I calculated, give or take, a number that we should be recovering, an amount of clicks, because we lost 50% from our benchmark. So this is the benchmark, this is where we're at. So I calculated this number, and you start splitting over months. And you need to be clear that these are just educated guesses, but they're not solid numbers. You can never guarantee, hey, we're going to recover 10K clicks next month, and then another 10K the month after, and so on. But we're just trying to give a vision of how this may look like, one way the recovery can look like. And then you can compare, like, this is your benchmark, and when you hit it, right? So there's a lot of work that needs to be done in migrations. Most people focus on just the URL mapping part of it, and that's maybe a few steps here and there, but the mapping is just one major part. There's a lot of other moving parts as well. I love migrations, by the way. I love them a lot. But they're also stressful because um, you're taking responsibility, right? Anything goes wrong, it's on you. Like, everyone's going to look at you. Okay, guys, I'm going to figure it out. Let's see what happened. And it can be something you have no, like, it's not you. The dev did something, right? They are the ones executing. You're just putting a plan. So your plan can be fine. It can be a dev that did something. I one time worked with a dev that no indexed the entire website.
I
Like,
know. I have been in the same situation. They
can
like
you imagine? Like,
after redirect, they did no index, and it was like all the ranking went flat, and it was like, what is happening?
see, and then the first person they're gonna look at is you, and then it's
It's
on
you,
you to
yeah.
figure it out. It's so it's stressful in that sense, and then you have to, you know, be like a doctor. You're trying to diagnose, and then you go talk to developers, go talk to people. What did happen? What did you do? What, give me details, and then you use the tools. And so it is stressful. Like, one time I had, so I in 2022 I was working on a migration, and they were migrating different properties into one website. So what I suggested is, let's start with the property that has least traffic, least importance, test our process, make sure it's working fine, no traffic loss, all good. Then we can move to things that are risky because they have a lot of traffic. And that worked fine. Like, we ended up doing the migrations very well. So sometimes starting small and testing a small part is also a good idea. Um, okay, since eh, I'm moving on to another point, but I'm happy to pause, or as I said,
Yeah, yeah. I just want to focus on Aisha's question that she said. So what happened, like once I was working on the website that got migrated, and the bread and butter keyword that ranked from like, it was always on like top 1 or 2 position, and it moved to like 60 plus. So instead of just waiting, we start optimizing for that keyword, so that we can recover ranking fast. Like
Okay.
what we
So you
started doing, we're focusing on more internal linking, more link building, those kind of processes, and mostly on like internal linking things, focusing on that particular keyword so that we can get the rank back. So instead of
okay.
just waiting for redirect effect to be in the process, we started optimizing before waiting for, like, we just waited for 2 weeks, but there was no improvement. And like it was
mm,
like, no, we cannot lose this keyword. So we started optimizing it, and then it's gradually it started like within a 4 week, it was back to normal.
that's also good. This is a good point, by the way.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, off this, you just reminded me that sometimes when you do a migration, all your backlinks are pointing to the old domain. Yes, you created a redirect, so they're being redirected, but it's nice to have a set of fresh URLs to your new domain, right? Your new domain name, like if it was example.com and then abc.com, it's nice to have fresh URLs pointing directly to the abc.com.
Yeah, because it takes time for the redirect to show the effect.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Everything is going to take time. Yes.
That's it. I think we can move to another one.
Okay. Let's talk about something that is very
Controversial.
yes.
This is actually very controversial. Like, it's like people say that this helps AI, this doesn't help AI. A lot of things,
Yeah,
no?
right. There's a lot of, and then someone says, "Hey, I run a study. There is some value there," and then someone says, "No, it's not." And then I don't know. I added it on my website. I don't see anything interesting happening, right? But yeah, I think look, I'm very opposing to saying having a hard, solid no at this point, where everything is new to all of us. Like, I'm really surprised that we have already have AI SEO experts who people who were just doing just SEO last year. Like, when does this happen, right? Like, we're all learning and testing things. And then a lot of people are learning from research papers, which is great, but they need also to understand that things in industry can be a bit different.
Yeah.
So, but obviously, how a company, a specific product, ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, whatever works in concept or at a high level, yes, obviously a lot of research papers and academic documents explain in concept how LLMs work, but how a specific product work, this is where there's differences. This is like saying you're reading research papers about search and expecting, so in concept, yes, they would apply to all search engines, but Google works a bit differently than Bing, a bit differently than DuckDuckGo. Like, there's some differences, right? So that's also something that I think should be taken into account. But I think at this point, there's no solid no's. There is, I don't think so. I think so, right?
Yeah. We have to try it. Like last year, I suggested one of the client, let's give it a try. It's not going to hurt. That I can be sure. Maybe it might not impact you very positively, like, oh, you are everywhere in the answers, but it won't hurt you.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So maybe I can try it on my website.
Yeah, I mean, if you're using Claude, it's pretty easy actually. Like, I have a skill. I created a skill file for every time I create a new page, and the skill file basically have instructions of things Claude have to do every time we create a new page. And one of the things is make sure the URL is in the sitemap and like have a markdown even implemented in the HTML of the page and all these sort of things, right?
So have you tried this? Like, have you implemented llm.txt file on any of your website or any of the
Yeah,
client's website?
yeah, it's on my
Oh,
website. I'm just giving it more
that's
time and then I'll see what happens there, but I'm not seeing
mm,
any meaningful thing, right?
maybe after in like month later our webinar we can talk about that.
Yeah, let's wait and see. Okay, here's something also. I think it's funny. This is we're coming full circle. It goes back to what we were discussing in the beginning about the zero clicks and how we should consider optimizing to other Google services like Discover. Um, so there's a study that shows that clicks to websites is basically 27%. Can you imagine? I mean, that shows why Google does not want, from traditional search, we're talking about the 10 blue links. This is what's happening right now. So I guess that shows why Google does not want to show clicks, but people can see what's happening. How do you talk internally about this? What type of questions you get? Like, hey, chime in.
I think that was one of the most hardest topic to explain to your executive team. Like what is changing? Like you have to show them each and every example. You have to take the keyword and you have to show the result. Like, okay, you can see there are the answers. People don't have to go and click your link.
Yeah.
And but the problem was like you have to change your KPI, you have to change your metrics, how it is impacting your pipeline, what you have to show in the report. That was the biggest change that this trend introduced in the SEO reporting system, I think. Oh,
It's go ahead. I talk too
yeah,
much.
so
You can always cut me off.
yeah, now I can talk. I still need my tea, but still it's good. So yeah, so that was the biggest problem. Like how why we are losing the clicks. Okay, you are getting impression, but you are not getting the clicks. So it was assumed by the executive leader like we are not optimizing for the right keywords. But then you have to show like okay, if you are appearing, for example, let's take you are on the page one, you are in the AI overview answer as well as on the 10 blue links. Where people will find you first, they will find you in an AI overview answer. They are not going to come down and click. And once you are on AI overview, and if you get engaged, start engaging with that AI overview section, you don't have to even scroll down and check the links. You get all the answers in the same paragraph. You keep asking, or you just, in some cases, you will click that link that they are providing. And even those links are not attributing clicks. They are like no opener links. That was like maybe last year. I'm not sure if they have changed it right now or not. So it shows it like your clicks are dropping. But actually it's not dropping. You still have visibility, but how you measure it, how it is impacting your user's journey, that has changed. It's still maybe it's still evolving, or it's still we don't have a very clear picture, but it's not like a red flag like oh you are losing a click so that you are out of the market or people are not finding you or you are doing something wrong. You have to focus on other metrics, like if people are visiting your website, maybe some other sources, it could be a direct source like direct source, or they just what maybe find you on LinkedIn. If they're spending more time on your website and they're spending time on proper pages, it could be your pricing page, it could be about your particular service that you're offering. If you're having a good engagement on those pages, you are doing good. You don't have to get worried about the loss in clicks.
That is
That
true.
was my take, and that is how I explained to them, and they understood it to some extent.
I think the clicks will keep on decreasing because, like, if we see now in Google overviews, when the user gets the answer, and then in the same chat, they can ask the follow-up questions. So there are very rare chances, unless the intent is transactional or commercial, the person will go to the website. But if the intent is only informational or navigational, there are very rare chances that they will go to the website. So
And
obviously, the
another thing
click.
that and we started focusing on, like instead of just focusing on those top of funnel content, you have to focus on the content that is too specific to you and that AI cannot generate. It could be your specific feature, or it could be your pricing, or it could be about your company that is not easily available on the other part of the website. And Google cannot just make a copy of that, or Google cannot just generate it. So you need a very specific content if you need clicks. That was
Yeah.
the thing. And then we started working on like more like comparison pages. Because if you are comparing yourself with your competitor, you are the right person who knows what is your strength or what is the differentiator. Unless you start telling it to others, Google cannot make it out by itself. So you need a content that just show what is your differentiator, what is the more offering that you have in a unique form, and others are not having that, and you want others to know it. So just don't leave it for the guessing to the Google or ChatGPT or anything. You have to create content on those topics as well.
Taking forward from this, like what Shipra just said, like when we were creating content for our publishing website, so we were also focusing on grounding and non-grounding queries because when we focus on grounding queries, so even if the user is going to ChatGPT, let's say, to ask any query, then ChatGPT has to perform web search. to find the answer for the query. So when we were creating the content, we were putting a more focus on grounding queries. So when ChatGPT is performing the web searches, there are chances that it will pick our website. Hello.
Yeah, I'm thinking. We're listening. Adil, if you want to chime in, want to say anything, you feel free to jump in. Like, we don't have a specific structure, and we would be happy to hear any thoughts. I'm not putting you on the
Hi,
spot or
hi, hi.
anything. Hi, Adil.
Yeah. Hi, Shah. Hi, Shipra. Hi, Shah. Yeah, I was just listening to what it was very thoughtful. So yeah, basically I'm Adil. I used to work for an e-commerce giant called Lowe's. So they're into home retail improvement company. Yeah. I think I was now Google Zero Click searches. I think as I was working into this e-commerce, we still have, I think they are just showing what informational keywords can do a lot for. So if the user is coming and searching for something very transactional, it's very high likely that user will go to the overview and see what's there. They'll just go and see what they want on an e-commerce wise. So I think we still have a lot of gap to clear on uh, the transactional queries. And I think if we perform, and as Shipra has mentioned, if we focus on the search engine and what kind of data we are providing, then people will definitely look onto that, no matter AI search or AI or views or yeah, anything kind of.
Actually, I really like what you said and what also was just discussed. Like, it's again back to segmenting the type of content or queries: informational, transactional. Is this a grounded query or non-grounded query? I really like this. I think it aligns with what we were discussing in the beginning, and but I can tell you that I'm sure that not a lot of people are doing it that way.
Yeah, so I think it depends on the queries, because if somebody if any website has a lot of impressions and the gap is very huge, very huge to what the clicks we are getting, then I think we have been showing in the AI views, but it's just not that the user doesn't want to be user doesn't want to get into our site. That's the reason. That's the only reason we are not getting more clicks. But end of the day, if the clicks are way high, then I think there is a possibility where web page is showing in the AI overview. Also, the sessions, I've listened to it. Somebody has said if you see the engagement is more, definitely, then that is something you can look onto, no matter what the clicks or impressions are. Yeah,
And
Nice.
ultimately, it's conversion that matters.
exactly.
Even if
Yeah,
I'm getting 5 clicks and they're converting well, that's it. I don't need
yeah,
500 clicks that just come and browse and leave the website. Even if I get 5 or 50, I want them to convert.
exactly. But yeah, it's a very sensitive topic too. We are not sure how much we can trust on this. But yeah, I think I haven't worked on a client side for some time now. But I think people who are working on an agency side, it's really hard for them to give a justification on why we are falling on clicks. Or yeah, so it's good to hear from somebody from an agency side.
Okay, guys. We are 2 minutes before we cut off because I have to start work. But um, you gave me a lot of ideas, focusing on conversions and understanding that informational, like, the reason we create informational content is has changed. It's not necessarily to drive people to our website is to provide Google AI surfaces and other LLMs with the information they need to talk about us, right? So I think this is a very, very strong takeaway. Like we still need to create the informational content, not necessarily to get the clicks, but to make sure that there is enough information about us when those surfaces and platforms cite us or talk about us. Yeah, I think it's a major shift in how we think to measure the value of our content. Just something random. It's not random, but before all this AI stuff, there was always a question of what is the ROI of creating blog content. Like we're not getting conversions from there. People come to read information and leave. They not necessarily buy anything. And I created like a dashboard that gets measures organic traffic to blog pages and then sees how many of those end up on a product page, right? So you sort of did we funnel them or not? But it was never the main purpose or the only purpose of blog and informational content. It was to put our name out there, right?
Exactly. This is how like we used to treat all those top of funnel blogs. Not just the top of funnel blog, even like anything that was top to middle funnel, they were like always like, why are we adding them? So like you have to explain, you need visibility. And that
Yes.
visibility helps visitor to move to your product page, ultimately to your pricing page.
Any last words, last thoughts, last comments before we wrap this up, guys?
It was fun.
We're good?
I really enjoyed the conversation actually,
Yeah.
and it gave me a lot of idea. Like because there are times when you're thinking on one aspect, and in the discussions like these, you start thinking on other aspects as well. So yeah, thank you very much.
I genuinely started taking notes. Like I really liked the
Same
things.
here. I also have a notebook in my hand, and just jotting points so I can just go back and deep dive into those concepts.
Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. So this is gonna go on YouTube today in an hour or two max because this is not I don't edit these. So once the video processes and I download and upload, it's live. Thank you so much for joining me today, and see you next month.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
rest of your day. Bye
You
bye.
too. Bye.
Bye.